So the Hold Me Tight workshop is a consolidation of Sue Johnson's approach to therapy in an educational setting. Okay. Any one of you could learn how to do and put on a Hold Me Tight workshop. You don't have to be certified in EFT to put on a Hold Me Tight workshop. In fact, you don't even have to be a psychologist. You could be a teacher, a clergy person. This is a way of giving wonderful ideas to families without a lot of as in the most simple form possible. Is that making any sense? I think it's part of why my husband and I, Paul Aikin, and I decided to do this for families, because there are a lot of families that do not want to, either they don't want to go to family therapy, they can't afford family therapy, they can't get the whole family involved in a whole lot of ongoing treatment, but they're hurting and they need help, right? That's just reality. At least it is in the USA. And I'm wondering, Norma, if you could tell me, do you think that's true in the countries that your participants are coming from?
Yes, absolutely. And we can really reach a lot of people. And the way, and also Mariana, that and Maria Eugenia, that they have done the program in Argentina, can share with us a little how we work, and we really reach a lot of people and make them understand from a different point of view, getting families together in and letting them interact in a new, different way.
That's
by
beautiful.
Trying to use EFT. That is why this is so important for us, for you to share a little of the program and how, with the program and the way you see families through attachment lens, we can help families to stay together and grow together through the different stages in life.
Great. Great. So, I mean, and there's some, we'll talk later, Norma, not today, but some good news on the horizon about translation and stuff, because I had a really good meeting with ICEPT. I wanted you to know. So there'll be much more of a green light around getting the materials to people that want to start leading Hold Me Tight family programs. Okay. So not only, so let's talk about the programs. Okay, we first started with parents and teens. We wanted to write a program for parents with teens because in teenage years, everybody sort of knows, oh, wow, teenage years, those can be hard. At least that's true in the USA. Is that true around your countries as well? I imagine kids that become teens change. They change physiologically. They change socially. And there are certain characteristics of teenage years that I think, I want you to tell me, I think are somewhat universal, right? Yeah. We're moving, our hormones are changing, and there are certain things that just become very important to teens. Okay. And I have bullet points that we can go over, but basically one of the things that we want everyone to learn about in these programs is that this is normal developmental changes. They're going to happen. Okay. For instance, many teens start to get attracted to life outside the family. It's a kind of a biological built-in developmental curiosity. They're getting ready to go. They're looking at the world outside the family. Cultures respond differently to this. I understand that. And I have a USA bias because that's where I live. And so I want you to tell me this doesn't fit or this does fit. But in general, and of course, there are individual differences through teens, and not everyone's the same, but there's a sort of, what are they doing out there? And that's interesting to me. So let me pause for a minute. How does that idea resonate with you guys? Does that make sense? Do you see that?
Pueden levantar la mano y hablar en español y yo le traduzco a ella. ¿Ok? ¿Esto tiene sentido para ustedes? ¿Resuena con ustedes? Claudia.
Sure it does. I'm happy to be here and I am thrilled to be learning from you.
Great. And teenagers do sort of start to question what their family does and compare it to what other families do. Yeah? And parents freak out. I think freak out is a phrase people because it's like, wait a minute. There are risks involved with starting to get interested in the outside world. Okay? And, puberty happens, sexual interest begins. There are risk-taking behaviors that happen in school and with their peer group. And so right at the time where the parents want more influence, because it's scary, their teen is saying, let me go. Let me be me. Let me be independent, right? And so there's a built-in tension that's normal, inevitable, and difficult. Yeah? The teens in the workshop, so we bring teens and parents together in this workshop. It's hard to get teens to want to come. So if their parents say we're going, they will come, but they're not voting for it. They're not saying, oh, great. Okay. But they're still under their parents' umbrella. So the general rule is they will come with a lot of irritation. Is that making sense to people? So I'm going to tell you what the program is, but I'm really giving you the flavor that we need to, as leaders, know how to face into. Does that make sense? Because those are the people you're trying to reach. Okay. So the way the Hold Me Tight, Let Me Go program is structured is that we have the first session with parents only. Okay. We don't do that We made another program for parents with adult children, separate, after that we did it with teens. And we don't have the parents come alone in that program because there's a different developmental stage going on in those families. And we want, our bias is to have the family together as much as possible. Okay. But with teens, the parents are very nervous. They have to come admitting that they're overwhelmed or scared of the teenage years. That's not easy to do. Right? So we keep the groups small, at most 8 to 10 families. So, and not all the members of the families come, you know, sometimes it's just parents with the teen, and then the other family, maybe the other kids that are younger don't come. We let families, we have between 13 and 19. That's what we look for the teens. So big, wide area. And it works more smoothly if you have like a group of 15 to 16-year-olds together, right? But that doesn't always happen. That's okay. But the parents come alone for 2 to 3 hours, and we have a structured program for that session. And then what we do is Friday night, we have parents come, maybe from 7 to 9. And then starting Saturday morning, we have parents and kids together, and Sunday as well. Is that making sense? Okay.
Maybe Nancy, you can explain a little what are the subjects you go through in order to prepare the parents for the experience?
Good.
Because it's important for them to be ARE.
Right.
What we call in Spanish DRI. Están
Is that right?
disponibles, respondiendo, involucrados emocionalmente. So this is part of what Nancy and Paul do in the program in this first day.
Right. So thank you. We teach about attachment and how to keep the bond of being able to have authentic conversations about what's bothering people in the family. Okay. In other words, parents come for problem solving. What do I do to make sure they do their homework? What curfew should I set? Tell me how to, give me kind of a coach, give me some suggestions how to discipline, right? And we very much from the very beginning say to parents, we are not going to do that. What we're going to do instead is help you know how to have what we call more secure attachment together during this period of conflict. And we teach them about attachment, right? In other words, what kind of support teens are looking for, and how can parents tune into what is going on in a difficult way with their teen. In other words, making conversations safer. Okay. We teach them that every family goes through insecurities because parents want to protect and nurture their children. We teach them that is a normal attachment need parents have. I need to be able to influence you and protect you, right? And how when parents get threatened by teens saying, no, thank you, I want to keep my door closed. I want to talk to my friends about my problems, not you. That it's normal for parents to get threatened and get anxious about, oh my gosh, how am I going to access you and know what you're going through if you don't talk to me? And if I don't know what you're going through, I'm scared. And when I get scared, I'm going to either move up the ante, bring more energy to you. I need to get through. I'm going to go farther. I'm going to go more intense. I have to talk to you. You can't say no to me. They turn up the volume, or they shut down. This is too hard. You don't want me there. I'm going to avoid this conflict and back away. And we teach them that this is what happens. It's normal. And we ask them to look at their own reactions to their teenagers, right? In the group setting. So we have a workbook that people have, and they have exercises in that workbook to help them go inside and identify how do they feel. And we talk to them about what we call negative cycles or demon dialogues. Now, that is an EFT concept. How many people are familiar with negative cycles? A lot? Norma, do you think many are?
Yes, because this is a group for EFTers.
Right. Perfect. So we teach the parents, you're going to get, when you get triggered and scared, you're going to either move toward with a lot more charge, or you're going to shut down and avoid. And help them identify, what do I do? What do I do? Okay. And we show clips of conversations that we have with parents and teens that we've done ourselves, or movies. There's a whole list of things in the back of the guide, and I'm sure you guys come up with things in your culture that you could share. A song, a clip in a movie, a way that parents and teens may be fighting, right? And the whole thing is, hey, parents, we're all in this together. It's hard. And if we can help you look at the relationship and get that relationship less escalated, you're going to be able to solve within your own family those questions about homework, about dating, about how much independence to give. You will have a way to try to at least communicate within your own family about how to handle these new challenges. Okay. And we have the parents go into breakout rooms and Zoom. They take their workbook, they do one exercise to look at their, for instance, we have them look, when I get threatened by my family member or my teen says, I don't want to talk, Mom. What do I do? How do I feel? And what do I say to myself about my teen? And we actually have lists of feelings and feelings, a whole list, right? It's sort of like, the list. I'm misunderstood. I feel sad, unimportant. I'm frustrated. I feel like oh my gosh, I'm doing this wrong, I'm a failure, these kinds of, right? Normal. What do I say to myself? This isn't going to work. I don't know. I'm going to fail here. I don't know what to do. What do I do? I start to think, oh, maybe I'll just sort of be a friend to my team, right? I'll stop trying to force things. Or I have to force things. I'm going to get stricter. In other words, we get them to look inside themselves. But one of the best things about these programs is there's other parents doing it with them. So they go out in a breakout room private, look at these exercises, try to fill in the blanks, and then they come back to the large group and share. So you as leaders will facilitate that conversation. What happened, guys? Who can share about what they wrote in their workbook? What did you discover? Sometimes it's a little hard to get it going. So you need to be confident. Most of the time people want to share. And once it gets started, it just goes. Do you have that experience, Norma?
Yes. And maybe what is really nice is that what you're explaining is what you get to in the program, but also is part of the work you do with families too.
Right.
And you have your families in your sessions, right?
Exactly. One of the secrets of a homey type program is it teaches you how to do EFFT therapy fast. I mean, it's like a summary, but it's the same principles. You're getting a family to feel safe with you, to look inside themselves to some of their feelings as they're having fears in their family, as they're trying to accept their teen who's changing. You're getting them to look at themselves and realize that they get to be part of fixing a kind of escalated situation. They can change their behaviors and help. Okay. Monica.
Yeah, thank you. I have this question, Nancy. When I have worked in a hold me tight programs for couples,
Yes.
it's the dynamic that you're explaining. They go, they have their workbook, they talk together, and then they come back. But the sharing usually is very, very little. That's my experience with different leaders leading the hold me tight, that I have seen that usually, I mean, couples are very private. They don't want to talk about their couple's issues in front of everyone else. So there's a lot of emphasis about this is not group therapy. This is mostly something you're going to do with your partner, right? And I wonder if this go back and share and really share about what you wrote in your workbook. Is something specific of working in families because it helps families to listen to each other, or would you think it's more your personal style? I wonder.
think it's I love what you're saying, and I don't know what your culture says about sharing in a group, and I'd want to be really respectful of that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And it is my style, you know. So I tell people you don't have to speak,
Mhm.
but it would be great if you did. I mean, it's sort of like, and I also share myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Norma. Come
Yes,
on in.
I think that Nancy's right. This is her style, but the first exercises, Monica, that people share what they wrote is they are like exercises to warm up the teens
Right.
and make them feel as part of the team there, as part of the group, and the parents too. And these is these are exercises that are fun for the families.
Right.
Mhm.
There comes a time where they share as family, and what they share, like in couples, is not shared in the big group as a whole. They leave the process also in the space they have in their own Zoom, or when they are in person,
Mhm.
they have these experiences, and what they share is it was nice, it was beautiful to be heard by my parents or to listen to my kid. But
Mhm.
the deep things that happen in the break room,
Mhm.
they stayed in the family as they want, as Nancy says.
Okay.
Am I right, Nance?
Well, yeah, Nora brings up a really good point. And I'm going to go to it the next day when teens come, because I do think the way we did the program helps people want to talk, because we start really positive. Okay. And we move slowly into the difficulty. But when parents are there, I have found that, I mean, I start out by saying we're all here because we love our kids and we don't know what to do, and it's really hard. And peer support is so important. And so it's built in. Now, Monica, I did a lot of homey tight for couples, like maybe 25 before we wrote this program. And the other thing is I did them with Sue, Sue leading a homey tight with couples. So she had 75 couples. Are some of your homey tight for couples large? Okay. Because that large number,
Mhm.
I mean, not 75. I mean, it was Sue, right? So
Mhm.
everybody's going to want to come.
I
But
have seen 10 couples,
okay,
15 couples.
okay.
As much. Mhm.
Uh, the smaller the better in terms of sharing, is my point.
Mhm.
And also, we have emphasized this. Why are we having a group at all? Because the peer support is huge. And when people talk about the program, they say things like, it felt so good to hear other people talk. I learned so much. I didn't feel alone. I didn't feel like something was wrong with me. I can't make people feel that as much as their peers can help them feel normal. Does that make sense? So, one of the selling points for the program is the group situation. And so I think, I mean, you don't have to share, number one. Okay. I really do mean that. And you never have to share the content. Like Norma says, like, let's say there's a really difficult situation in a family that's very sort of, I don't know, private and maybe even embarrassing. Someone went to juvenile hall because their behavior was so, extreme, or somebody got kicked out of school because, or a parent has a drinking problem and they're talking about it in the breakout room, but they don't want to talk about it in the big group. You don't have to talk about the content to say, let's take the drinking partner of the parent. The parent might end up saying, I started to listen to my teen who had really hard feelings about some of what I do at home. That makes them feel very uncomfortable. And I'd never been able to listen before. And it really impacted me. I think I feel really sad now. I don't know what I'll do, but I want to change. Okay. You're not talking about drinking, but you are talking about the impact of the exercise. And when you give them those examples as ways to share, people start to grab hold of them. So let me pause for a minute. Is any of that making sense to people? Does it to you, Monica?
Yes, yes, thank you. Thank you very much.
And so when the teens come, so the goal of the first session with the parents, with teens, is to get parents to feel more comfortable with the idea that they're not alone, and to understand that our goal is not to problem solve, but to help them look at the nature of their relationship and how it's gotten into a negative cycle so they can calm it down and connect with their kid. That's the goal. Making sense? And so when they leave, people say, I don't know if my teen will come tomorrow. I have to admit, I'm not sure what's going to happen. And someone else will say, oh, I feel the same way. That I'm serious. This is what happens, right? And I say, look, you're doing great. You're doing great. You're coming here. You're giving it a try. You're going to reach and let them know it's important. And whatever happens, happens. You know, you'll see. This is a beginning. You know, a lot about a beginning, a lot about process, not performance. Does that make sense what I say? If you go into our breakout room and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things to do, you know, first fill out this and then go to this exercise, and you get stuck on one, that's fine. This is not, it's what happens and how you feel about the exercise, if that makes sense. It's not like a test that you have to perform. And so teens do come in the morning. Now, when I did this, frankly, and wrote it up and did it with my husband, we used our home for the workshop. This was before the pandemic. We don't do that now. But when we did it, it started out, you know, I had food. We had a dog. We had a yard. We had a homey feel. That helped. Now, not everybody's going to do that. You don't have to. But I am letting you know that, you know, you, as leaders, you set a tone. And you have to be true to yourselves. My style is to be pretty human, sort of, you know, like, and our dog, you know, so you just, you know, the teens would come and they were really uptight and they didn't want to make eye contact and they looked pretty grouchy. That's okay. And then when we start out, you know, I say, you know, I'm getting the sense that half of you don't want to be here. Yeah. And if I say it with a smile, they're like, oh, yeah, I kind of don't want to be here. I bet you don't want to be here. I'm going to try to make this relevant to you guys. And in fact, I talked to teens that I knew before we started the program. And I said, how am I going to make this work for teens? Will you help me? And they said 2 things. One is put a swear word in the title of the program. They'll like that. And I said, I'm not going to do that. But we laughed. And then they said, don't lecture. Don't give them what they get in school. Have them, like Norma said, find a different way to reach them. So the first morning, the very first thing we do when people do get settled and the dog's running around, and I may say to someone, can you pet Lola? her name was Lauren, because she'd really like that. And then she won't run around so much. And okay, it kind of goes like that, right? Is positive. We call it security priming. We get together and we ask the family to talk about positive things they like to do together. Even if it's hard to find. We camp in the summer. That's kind of fun. Or, what makes your family a family? What's sort of a tradition, a ritual? Like in my family, we'd go out to dinner to this Mexican restaurant in LA on a Sunday night, Rebozo's. We'd go to Rebozo's. Now, I have to admit, I didn't feel that close and comfortable in my family growing up. I didn't, for a lot of reasons. But I do remember Rebozo's as a warm thing that we did together. We'd drive, we'd have, it was very casual, but there's something, right? As they start to talk about the positives, they start to feel, we are connected, even though right now we're in a fight. And we move slowly into the idea of a negative cycle. We don't just start there. So after that first positive exercise, we have this other exercise that says, I need you, I don't need you. And we go outside, the parents line up. We had a yard, parents line up, and then the teens line up facing them. And we shout out something like homework. And the parents are standing here and the teens are here. And the teens' job is to get closer to the parents if they want more connection about homework, or they move back if they want less connection with homework. We give the teens a way to show something that's happening inside them that's in a playful way. They're all together doing it. People understand and watch what the other people do. And the parents just stay steady and watch, right? So these are the kinds of things we and it's all in the workbook. So you have the guide to show you examples of how you can make this more playful. We have a role play that's very helpful about over/under, we call it, where there's a mom and a daughter talking. Mom says, I got a call from school today. Where were you? You didn't show up, right? And underneath, there's someone that says, I'm so worried. I'm so upset. I hope they'll talk to me, right? So right then we're showing how underneath there's feelings about a conversation. And then Nadine, the daughter, says, I don't want to talk about this. And then underneath, Nadine is, oh my gosh, the school called my mom. What am I going to do now? How do I get out of it, right? So this has a script. And we have people in the audience or the participants play the roles, read the script. And then we talk about what that was like. And often people say, oh my gosh, that happened last week in our house. And then we're all joining together. And this emphasis in the guide, you'll have it all spelled out as to how you can start to play with these things. Okay? And once we move into the negative cycle, they've already got a sense of how it develops. We show clips that are entertaining, that are short but fun to watch or powerful to watch. Again, normalizing conflict. And this is the way we do each workshop, even with the adult children. We have the structured exercises We move from positive to introducing in creative different ways the negative cycle. We have them look at their cycle. And then we move into more deep, vulnerable conversations the next day. It's a process. It's designed to get them slowly warmed up into looking at their underlying feelings. So let me pause. What's going on as I share what this is like? Anybody have thoughts or questions? Is this clear? Are you getting the language?
Okay, there's someone asking, and just a second, Claudia, you have, yes?
I just want to say I am learning the importance of keeping it within the process, processing, slowing down. Don't try to solve anything
Right. Perfect.
so much.
I'm so glad. It's actually a relief. At first, it's like, what do you mean I came here for answers? And what do we say? We're giving you an answer. It's just not the answer you thought of. We're giving you an answer. That secure attachment. Once you can trust that you can listen to your team and that you can then say to them, I got scared, so I got harsh. I'd like to redo that. Can we try again? Right? They then realize, the whole family, that there's something that's going to bond them more, and that starts to feel good. It's hard. And there are some testimonials I can read to you, but people like the program, even the teens at the end. Anybody else want to talk about what I've said so far?
There's a question here in the chat. Are these
Good.
workshops equipped to handle parentified child?
Yes. I mean, they're designed to make room for what people do when there's distress in the family. A parentified child comes from distress. They don't feel their parents can function, so they either have to, get older quickly, or their parents lean on them in those ways, right? That's distress. Because this is it. In an ideal situation, and none exist. I mean, families are messy. Families are hard. There's no family that doesn't have distress. But a goal or a vision is that parents need to protect and nurture their kids. It's wired in. And kids need protection and nurturance, even as teens, and actually even as adult children. Because I want to get to that part. But they need it in different ways. I don't need you to tell me to study math. I need you to tell me you'll love me if I get a C. Now, in Davis, for instance, that's a big deal. Grades are really big in this university town, a lot of academics, right? So, you know what I mean? I need to know you'll be accepting me. And the parent might say, of course I do. Have I been pressuring you? Yeah. Let me know about how I'm pressuring. Well, you really want me to do my homework? Yes, I do. That I do. I do want you to find a way to meet the challenge of school. But if you're having a problem doing that, of course, let's talk about the problem. I want to support you. So it's not like you give up your values, you know what I mean? But you're talking about it in a loving way. That's the answer to the, what do I do? Okay. And there's another hand up here.
Alejandro,
Thank you. Thank you, Nancy. We would like to ask if you predefine the kind of family that you attend into the workshops. I mean, if you treat, I don't know, like families with trauma, with big issues like
Right. Our bias.
that were forced, I mean, we were thinking like, I don't know, the kind of family that were forced to emigrate to another country,
Right.
example.
Sure. It's a great question. All these comments I'm so appreciating, guys. This is what I wanted, is just a conversation, because it was such a short period, and with the language, I don't want to just put a lot of words on the screen. You know, I want to talk. Our bias, and that means me and Paul, is to accept whatever families are interested in coming. Open rather than restrict. Not, you don't have to do it that way. You don't have to do it that way. But one of the commitments of a homey tight family program is that it can reach families that wouldn't necessarily come to therapy or have a lot of problems and they don't know where to go, and it's hard to admit and things like that, you know? So we take chances, keep it small. Chances meaning, you know, if someone is really reactive, really defensive, not very stable, you can't always know that when they come in, right? But we just trusted that if somebody was having a hard time doing the program or in the group had input that was negative, we would, this has happened one time only. So it doesn't, you know, during the break or during lunch, say we need to talk to you and say, we don't think that this program is a good fit for you. You seem like you're getting really angry and it's really not fitting for you either. The commitment is to always give people referrals for therapy. We want to help you. I don't think this setting's right for you. That's happened one time in all the years. And it was okay because it wasn't a good fit for them. You know what I mean? So it was like, okay, right? Occasionally there'll be a family after the first day that has said, thank you. I've gotten all that I think we can handle. And so we're not going to come back. Norma, you've had that experience, right? And if that happens, that's a good thing. Meaning, I'm so glad you got something from it. I think it's really good you're honoring what you think your family can do and what's too much to do. To get total support for that. Am I making any sense, you guys, when you ask the question? If you want to be more selective, totally do it. This isn't a should, but when you said, you know, do you accept certain families or not others? I basically go to, let's see if we can accept who's interested in coming. And we also have a sliding fee. So this is not going to be, I mean, people pay the full fee, most. But I guess what I'm trying to say is the educational component to reach to people and want to just influence them some is our motivation, you know? And I think that was Sue Johnson's motivation as well. She wrote the book, Hold Me Tight. You can buy it and read it. You don't have therapy to read that. She even made a online version of Hold Me Tight for couples. So if you're having an online version and those couples are trying it without any input other than the tape, that's showing some faith that it's okay to get people exposed to the exercises. And if they don't do them, if they want to stop, they stop. Is that making sense to people?
Yeah, thank you, Nancy. Yeah, but I mean, it's kind of like a question with two parts. I mean, because it's like if you recommend a kind of family where to start. I mean, it's like you have to be on some level in order to be into the workshop. I mean, if you are working with a therapist couple, maybe you recommend to one of the partners to go to individual sessions. I mean, so if we have this kind of families with a lot of issues, I mean, a lot, really vulnerable, if we recommend previously, no go.
So Norma, am I understanding the question when you're saying, aren't there exceptions where there's so many problems that, you know, you bring in individual therapy and stuff? You wouldn't necessarily think that that couple would be good for a workshop like this, right? You're asking that.
And he's saying that if there is some kind of preparation that family needs, or if they have to be in some level of treatment in order to have the program, no.
Oh, is that what you're saying? Okay, no. I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
Don't worry, don't worry.
No, it's no. Now, it's true. A lot of people are in therapy, and then their therapist will say, there's this program. I think it would help the work. And they come. That happens. But that's great. And sometimes they'll do the workshop and then go into therapy because so much got stirred up and they realize how much they can work and how beneficial it can be. So it's an adjunct to therapy. It's a really good, right? But people come that haven't been in therapy and they need it, but they haven't been willing to do it. And this is sometimes a start on the path of getting more therapy. Does that make sense? And we allow for that. We think that's part of the advantage of having a program that you can just get started. Yeah. So the developmental, can I move to adult children now? Is that okay? Are people interested in doing work with parents and adult children? Norma, can you help me with that? Is that something people are interested in?
Yes, yes. I think that it's important because it's something that is not usual. And your experience, I think that is unique. And share it is important because the changes that we can see in the program, in the process of the program, is really great.
Right.
And it is like a whole experience to make intervention in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
And make families stay connected because
Good. Right. So Paul and I thought teens are one sort of special category, developmental stage. But after teens, families have issues all over the place. And each decade brings different issues. Am I going to get independent and live on my own? What happens when I move out? What happens when I pick a partner? What happens when I have children? What happens when my parents get sick? So many developmental things, milestones are taking place from 21 till however old, 85, 86, 90, right? Seriously. So parents go through changes too. We don't stop growing at 20 or 25. We have our own challenges. And so working with parents and adult children has been the most fascinating thing in my whole career. It's also been the hardest. It's been really hard, meaning complicated. Because each decade brings different things, right? But it's been very rewarding. First of all, adult children ask for the workshop more than their parents. So it's a whole different thing. It's not teens getting dragged, right? It's adult children saying, I'm 40, I'm having a fight with my parents, and it's really bumming me out. Can you help? Classic. More than 50%. They got a divorce. Now they're upset with me because I let the children see both parents and they're fighting and they don't want me to. You know, those kinds of things happen sort of all the time. Can you see the need? And I remember saying to Dr. Johnson, Sue, let's do it with adult children and their parents. We'll do the program. We'll write it up. And she said, oh gosh, this is going fine with teens. Can we not do that? She was right. That's a complicated thing. And she was so great on so many levels. When I'd come up with an idea, she'd say, you have to show me it works. You have to do pilot studies. She was hard. And I would say, I will. Adult children have their brain developed. They have resources at times. They can get there to the workshops. We do it online. They don't have to live in the same country, let alone the same state with their parents, but they can still have treatment. And we did a lot. It was really successful. So we wrote the guide. It's the same goal about secure attachment and listening to people and checking on your negative cycle. But one of the things that we do in both the teen and the adult children is halfway through the workshop. And I think it was Monica that talked about group. What we do is we have same age groups. We stop the family breakout and we lead, like I led a group for teens and my husband led a group for their parents. In the group, you know, like from 1 to 2, we're doing peer support. That's what we call it. And then we do it for adult children too, right? Hugely successful because they've already gone through positive stuff in their family, role plays to see the underlying, you know, feelings that come up in a conversation on the surface, the negative cycle, a lot of clips, and then we break up. And the goal of the workshop is kind of to say, so how do you feel so far? Like I would say to you guys, I won't right now because we don't speak the same language and I don't have much more time. I'd say, so how do people feel so far about my presentation? Is it helpful? Do you have questions? Am I doing it in a way that makes it hard for you? We're consulting, we're collaborating, we're all part of one thing. There's no wrong answer here, right? And in the peer groups, I'll say that too. How's it going? Not just with what I'm doing, what I'm doing, but also how do you feel about what's happening? People really open up in those peer groups. Would you say so, Norma?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's their time to go, oi, 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 or this is what I say. This is hard, or I didn't like that part. That part was really hard, or, you know, my parents are bugging me right now. Oh, mine are too. Why? What happened? Okay, that's what starts to happen in the kids' workshop. The teens, the program, the peer support group with teens is really hard because no one wants to talk. So I would, and Paul would say, you do the teens. There's no way I'm doing the teens, which, you know, we just laughed about. But I agreed with him. I mean, he wouldn't know what to quite do. And the parents love him. But I would just say to teens, I want you guys to tell me what's happening. And they'd say nothing. And then I'd say, okay. And so we made up a questionnaire that's called the ARE questionnaire that they could fill out. It's in the guide as a way to start the conversation, basically. I don't like to use it because I'd much rather them just sit there and say, this is weird. Well, tell me more about weird. Who else thinks it's weird? Everyone raises their hand. And I'm going to be even weird now because I'm going to stay with the group. You need to tell me what's weird. I don't know. I just don't like being with my parents that much right now. I don't either. What's that about? And then I might say that a lot of teens feel that. Yeah. And does it make you feel like you're a bad kid? Maybe once in a while. Anybody else feel that way? So we're up and running, right? But if they won't, there's a questionnaire that asks them those questions. You'll see it in the guide. You have it all. To grade their parents on a scale from 1, you know, like always, never, you know, my parents don't understand me. Most people, yes, they don't understand me, right? And then I'd say to them, okay, what would it be like to share these answers with your parents? To let them know, I don't think you understand me. Can anyone imagine doing that? No. What if we did that? What if the next day, so after the peer support, we surface what's been going on for people. And the second day is where, if you know EFT, it's more of the stage 2 work, the down, down, deep feelings of alienation, of injury. I'll never forget the time when the principal called you, and I promised you it wasn't me. They got it wrong. You never listened to me. And then 6 months later, you found out I was right and they were wrong. I felt so betrayed by you. And they need their parents to be able to hear them, not just get defensive. By the second day, people are primed to do deeper conversations. But we do the same process. We tell them what we're looking for, a down deep conversation. We show them clips and conversations that people have already had about it. They go into the breakout room with a structured workshop about how to get to those conversations. And then they come back and they share how it went. That's the process of each session. And they end up having what we call a homey tight family style conversation, where the kid, whether they're teens or adults, share a painful incident that they can't quite get over. And the parents have at that point gotten really primed to listen, to really listen and try to empathize and own it if they can. I did it. I think because I got so freaked out, I got really strict for about 6 months. I did. I didn't know how that made you feel. Well, it made me feel really bad. Not only did I not get to see my friends, and I lost a lot of them, which in high school sucks. I also just felt like you must hate me. You felt like I hated you? Oh my God, no. Well, I felt that way. Right? That's the kind of stuff that starts to happen. And by the end of the day, the last conversation is to review what they went through, what they learned, and how they can carry it on in their home afterward. Right? Some ideas about getting together, having the negative cycle become something that they can talk about, that kind of thing. Right? So I think we stop at 11:30, don't we?
Yes.
So in the next 10 minutes, tell me where you guys are. Has this been helpful? What's going on? Who could imagine leading these? Because if you want to lead these, you need help. I'll talk to you about it anytime. We can set up a chat and you can say, I'll try to do this workshop and I'll guide you through the process. Norma can do the same thing. It's really hard to do at first. But where are you guys?
Mariana.
Oh, yes, Mariana.
Hola, hi Nancy.
Hi.
Hi. Acá en Argentina con tres amigas, colegas, hicimos una experiencia del taller con adolescentes el año pasado y ahora probablemente la repitamos para abril o mayo. Y la verdad que fue una experiencia maravillosa.
Wait a second. Wait a momentico. Mariana is part of the group that I have the experience and the permission from you to teach them how to do the workshop. They had already done a workshop in Argentina, and she's sharing that they enjoyed a lot, and it was a beautiful experience, and they are just planning to make the second one, right?
Great.
Okay.
Así es. Y aprovecho para agradecerle a Norma porque ella nos guió, fue como nuestra madrina en esta experiencia. Sin vos, Norma, no hubiéramos podido. Y cuando te escuchaba, Nancy, me venían recuerdos de lo que nosotras vivimos y eran tan similares a lo que vos contabas, ¿no? Esto de los padres diciendo los adolescentes no van a venir y que luego aparecieran al día siguiente. Los adolescentes en el grupo de pares de repente abriéndose de una manera increíble, tanto que yo estaba ahí con el grupo de adolescentes, con otras de mis colegas y las otras dos que estaban con los padres nos miraban y nos decían, ¿qué pasa que no terminan? Así que fue muy potente.
She is sharing that, and she thanked me and tell that I was like a godmother there guiding them in order to do it. As you say, it's important to have a little direction and guide to do it. But she really is very happy to hear you, how the experience is, because they got just the experience that you're describing.
Oh, good.
The father saying the kids are not coming, and they come. And in the peer group that she was leading with another friend, a psychologist, they couldn't stop talking. And the other two partners that were with the adult, the parents, they were like, oh gosh, are you still talking? Aren't you ending this?
That's so cool. Yeah, so cool.
It was really, really, really nice. Y al final, en la última conversación, la conversación Abrázame Fuerte, la de reparación, fue increíble. Fue increíble cómo los chicos se animaron a contar de su dolor y los padres pudieron recibir. Increíblemente potente, Nancy. Creo que es un taller maravilloso. Y el de adultos, ojalá en algún momento nos animemos a hacerlo, lo tenemos pensado, pero bueno, paso a paso.
Mm,
She is very happy and she's saying the program is excellent. And at the end of the experience with the Hold Me Tight conversation, the kids were really able to talk to their parents how they felt, and the
right.
parents were able to receive what the teenagers need to express. So it was a wonderful experience.
Great. Perfect. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Mariana.
Yes.
¿Otras
Yes.
preguntas? Aprovechemos, nos quedan 6 minutos, que pueden ser preguntas de otras cosas.
I
Thank
see
you.
there's some things in the chat. Yes, that's
Ah.
good.
I'm going there.
Yeah.
A ver, qué tímidos, no puede ser. Very helpful and inspiring, really helpful.
Great. Patricia.
Hi, it's really inspiring hearing you because I had certain doubts how to work with ETF with families, but right now I'm more than you solve all my doubts. That's the word. And hearing you how to work with this group of teens, and I'm a family therapist. I'm beginning to introduce in my practice ETF, okay? And with the families I'm seeing and working with the youngers and the teens and trying to introduce things little by little, it's helpful. And
Good.
looking this with a bunch of kids, it will be a supreme experience, I believe. Thank
That's
you
so
for
good.
the program, for your effort on and for sharing with us so vividly.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Yes, yes. And Claudia.
Hi. I wonder, how do you handle if one of the teenagers gets kind of aggressive, or how do you handle that?
I remember one of the girls, teen girls, left the workshop and went down the street and climbed a tree. And I'm serious. And I thought, I'm not her parent. Her parents are right here. That's theirs. And I was so glad I could do that because that's sort of not my way. You know, I get over involved, if anything. But I luckily had the wisdom to say, so do you want to leave? Do you want to go check on her? And they went, oh, no, she does that all the time. And then the brother who came, who wasn't the identified patient, said, can I talk to you for a minute while she's gone? And he said all this stuff that he needed to get off his chest. And then she did come back. And then the parents said to the kid, the son, you know, you don't have to stay. You've done great. He left, she stayed. It really worked out. But the most important point was, they're the parents still. I'm not the parent. I'm offering something, but you're still in this, you know, family situation. Are you going to discipline or not? It's not up to me to go run down. You know, the other thing I want to say, though, is it's clear that most of you are doing the one with teens and not the one with the adults yet. Get ready for a fantastic experience if you try the adults. And please contact Norma or me for support. I don't know if you know about the Sunday group we have, where we meet every Sunday for free and have just people interested in doing Hold Me Tight workshops. They just sign on. You don't have to talk. You can just listen. There's no fee. You can come, you can go. But if any of you want to be part of that, to just get a Zoom invitation, I'm going to let Norma coordinate that. And then, you know, we'll put you on the mailing list, because it's a great way to feel like you're not in it alone. It's hard. But the adult children one is really interesting. Yeah. So do we have time for one more? Maybe not. Is it
One
Lily?
question, yes, Lilia.
Hi, thank you very much. I'm gonna try to be very quick. I really appreciate this opportunity today to meet with you, Nancy. I really appreciate your work, and I have some of your books. I mean, your Hold Me Tight, Let Me Go. But my question is, do you think that if we haven't done any of the groups yet, what do you think about starting with Hold Me Tight with adult children? I mean, do you think that it's recommended to start with teens first, or do you think that we can go straight on with the adult children groups?
I think you should take the population you're most interested in. I do
Alright.
think you have to start with teens. I do think you want consultation and support for doing these workshops at first,
All right.
because they're hard. It's hard to get people registered. I do a lot of phone calls beforehand they have questions, then doing it, then following the guide. Norma would be fantastic. I will be helpful, other people. But you don't have to start with teens first.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Well, this one turned out well. I was a little caught off guard, and I'm glad it worked out. I'm glad we could just talk. There's all these warm faces. I just love it. Yeah.
We love to have you here, and we are really, really grateful, Nancy. So I am going to send in the Aikin mail in the group. So if people want to see what trainings are you giving or get in contact, they can do that. Is this all right? Okay.
Yes. And then the Sunday Zoom meeting, you have to let Norma will figure out how to let me know if people want to be part of that, and then we'll set it up.
Yes, I just write down that they can write me on WhatsApp and send the email. And if they do that, then I can make a list and I can give it to you. So you include them in the mails. Okay.
Commitment of having to come every time, just if you're interested. It's just one of these all-inclusive things. That seems so important. Yeah. All right. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Take care. Okay.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, everyone. El próximo conversatorio va a ser de parejas manejo de parejas escaladas, y nuestra querida Mónica Díaz es quien lo va a dar el próximo mes. ¿Ok?
Thank you.
Muy bien, gracias.